I never got off the Heat bandwagon, even when they were struggling. I kept saying, like, if the Heat can pull it together and make the playoffs, they're going to be really tough. In
Yeah.
fact, I said that, like, a 1-8 matchup, I mean, the Heat will finish better than 8 at this point because they got it back together. But if there was a 1-8 matchup of Philadelphia versus Miami, I would have been very tempted to put money on Miami as the 8th seed.
Yeah.
And I've been saying that for a little bit. So I think you guys will be fine. I right now I have you guys power ranked as the second best team in the East, in terms of your ability to get to and win the finals.
I'll take it.
And probably, like, I don't know, in that 5 to 7 range overall in the NBA. So I think that's pretty good.
Yeah, it's not bad. That's not bad at all.
So Steph is ready for us.
Let's do it.
Cool. What's up, Steph?
Hello.
Steph.
Hey, what's going on?
What's going on, brother? How you been?
Oh, say it again.
How you been, man?
Hanging in there, man. Just getting used to life out here in Houston. It's a little bit of a different pace.
Yeah, man. Is it a little bit slower than Miami?
You know what? It's a little slower as far as things going on, but there's a lot of hustle and bustle with the amount of folks out here. I mean, you're talking about a 10 million amount in the Houston area, so there's a lot of people doing stuff around here.
Houston is too big. Will you agree?
It's huge. I mean, we were looking in areas for places to live, and it's like, oh, we want to live in this area. We get out here, it's an hour away, and it's still considered Houston, so it's intense.
Okay, good. Oh, that's good that you guys are doing good, though. Okay, so spring practice starts on Saturday, thank God.
Yes.
We got football back a little bit, kind of, but today we are going to preview the Canes offense and the depth chart. I'll ask both of you guys, going into year 2 of Rhett Lashlee, Steph, I'll start with you. What are your expectations? What do you want to see differently for Rhett Lashlee's offense during his second season at Miami?
I mean, you need to see that progression as far as consistency. I believe when you have young players that are working with new individuals, they have to get used to them. They have to understand what's expected, and they have to put that into play. Well, the second year, expectations have been there for almost a year and a half. There should be a lot less sloppy play. Offensive line should be improved. The running backs will be a year older, so you won't have 2 freshmen back there contributing. You'll have 2 sophomores and a senior. So you want to make sure that backfield is clean. And then, most importantly, the wide receivers need to be figured out. And I think something that Likens said, he has 6 players now instead of, 3 last year that he felt comfortable in a rotation. So we want to see that maturity level and those expectations met this year.
Absolutely. Jordan, what about you?
Dude, I don't know. I'm just hoping that we can keep the train rolling, man. Like, we did make some progress last season, but I don't know. I didn't really feel like I know that this is like a controversial take that not everyone agreed with me, but to me, I just felt like we weren't competitive against good teams. And it is a step in the right direction that we're beating teams that we should beat. But I feel like the difference between us and the top dogs is still pretty big if we're struggling to compete against anyone that is worth their salt. So. I really believe in the coaching staff for this year. I'm really hoping that, because there's measurable progress, right? And so I'm just hoping that they can push it forward, that they can make more of a noticeable progression, and maybe we'll make Alabama sweat a little bit is what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, maybe.
We're not going to, but I hope.
Okay. So, like, for me, we are a huge supporter of Rhett Lashlee in this podcast. But obviously, we made some progress, but we need to see more consistency. I mean, 19 points against Virginia was not pretty. Even the 31 points against Pitt, I feel like that wasn't as pretty as it could have been. And then obviously, like UNC, yes, the defense was god awful. But, I mean, the offense has to, at least do their part to make it a little bit more competitive. And hopefully De'Aaron King is healthy enough throughout the season. So let's start off with the quarterbacks. Obviously, D'Eriq King will not be there. We got Jake Garcia, the true freshman, the golden boy, my child. We have Peyton Mataka, and then Tyler Van Dyke, who I think is probably the popular choice to be QB1 throughout the spring. So, Steph, I'll start off with you. What are you looking to see from the quarterbacks this spring? Because I know it's a young group, but you never know if King is going to get hurt, at some point this season. And so, who are you most excited to see? And, just talk about the QBs.
I'll tell you what, man, we need to see, at least from the young guy, Jake Garcia, we need to see him be able to, just be a college student. I think what we saw from him with the two schools he was with in Georgia is that he's a quick study. The guy went cross country. Within a month's time, he's starting for a new team, and then with another month's time, he's starting for another team. And you're talking about two playbooks that he basically has to understand and do his best with. And I think he did more than his best. He won a championship, right? So yep. the kid knows how to transition. We want to see that on a higher level at a bigger scale. I mean, there's not too many expectations with Jake. I know he's also coming off a small, nothing to worry about injury, but we want to make sure that he's healthy. He understands the playbook to an extent, and he has that comfort level with his teammates. Now, when you jump over that, Peyton Mataka, you want to see his development. He's from the Houston area, from St. Thomas here in Houston. So he's a guy that we don't have many expectations around because we have King, we have Van Dyke in front of him. But at the same time, you want to see him still improve because, to your point, if, God forbid, King has issues in his recovery time or Van Dyke has an injury and Matoka's the guy, you want to feel comfortable there. That's not a huge thing that we have to focus on, but something to take note on. Now, the main ingredient, the main entree here is Van Dyke. He's a guy that at least the fans have had a huge respect for because we do know we're getting with him. We do know that he has the work ethic that matches King's to an extent at his level, great maturity level, and we want to see that translate to the field now. We don't want to just hear about the stories in the weight room, the stories in the film room that, oh, he's a great kid, great leader, things of that. We want to see that translate. We want to see his knowledge on the field. We want to be able to feel comfortable with him stewarding this offense while King is out, making sure the receivers are involved and they're progressing even though they don't have their main signal caller.
Well, I think I love Van Dyke, man. I've been very excited about him ever since he, committed to Miami and, he never wavered, anything like that. I think he is I hate the term game manager, but I think that he is that, but in the best sense. He doesn't have the maybe scrambling ability of a D'Eriq King or the mobility or anything like that, but I think his presence on the field is very commanding at the quarterback position. I think we're going to see a sense of comfortability, maybe not at the first start because, this is going to be really his first spring practice because, they started off last year and only got a week in. But I think we're going to see a little bit of rustiness. I'm not expecting Jake to come out there and just start, owning everybody. I think we're going to see him struggle a little bit, in the spring practice. But at the end, I definitely want to see, increased confidence in all three of these guys because, like we're saying, you never know what's going to happen with D'Eriq King. God forbid if he goes down at some point in the season. Van Dyke is probably going to be that guy that may need to lead us to a few wins. But Jordan, do you have any more thoughts about the quarterbacks?
Yeah. So I like the point that Stephan made about Peyton Mataka, and while he was talking, I just kept thinking of Malik Rozier in the fact that we brought him in along with Brad Kaya. I don't think anybody ever thought that Malik would actually be our starting QB ever, but he ended up giving us our best season in well over a decade. So I just thought that was interesting, right? It is good for all of these guys to be ready and be prepared. So I did like that point. And then just with Tyler Van Dyke, man, one of the things that I really have a hard time with, and I think it's Miami as a program because we've done it under all coaches. So I don't want to throw any singular coach under the bus. But we have a hard time getting our young guys playing time in cupcake games. Tyler Van Dyke should be the starter against Central Connecticut. And De'Ara King really shouldn't even play that game. There's no reason for him to play that game. It should be Tyler Van Dyke starting and playing at least the whole first half, and then you could even get Jake Garcia reps in the second half. Like, you know what I mean? We schedule those games, but I feel like we don't utilize them. Whereas if you look at schools like Florida, for example, if you remember, they got Tim Tebow tons of snaps when Chris Leak was still there. And so there was much more of a seamless transition, when that handoff happened and then Tebow became the starter. And then also, I can't remember the name of their backup QB he's going to start this year.
Emory Jones.
But I mean, how much did he play last year when they had, a Heisman finalist in Kyle Trask on the field? Like, Emory Jones got way more snaps than our backup quarterback did. So yeah. I just think that we really need to take that into consideration this year. This is the last year that De'Ara King can play, and nobody behind him has any experience. I don't think there's a single college football snap of experience behind De'Ara King. So I really think it's in the best interest of the program if Tyler Van Dyke, gets upwards of 50 to 100 snaps this year, if not more. Let's Rhett Lashley should make it a priority to get Tyler Van Dyke 150 snaps this year.
All right. Okay. Well, so my last question about the quarterbacks. Who do you guys think is the number? So I think we're all in agreement that TVD is going to be the QB1, quote unquote, at the end of spring till King gets back. Who do you think, Matoka or Garcia is number 2?
I'm going to go with, I don't know, man. I'm going to go with by the end of the year, it's Garcia. I think it'll start as Matoka, and then by the end of the year, Garcia will have it.
Okay. Steph?
I like that as well. And the progression that you detailed, that Matoka starts as the third guy, and then it's Garcia. I go with that as well.
Okay. All right. I'm actually going to say Jake is at the end of spring practice. I think he's going to be behind Van Dyke. But I think Matoka's he has good mobility, man. I think he could be a threat in this offense. But let's move to running back. Cam Harris is back. Robert Burns is gone, but Don Chaney Jr. and Jalen Knighton coming back for their second season. I'm very, very excited to see this group. And Thad Franklin is not on campus right now. Steph, is he on campus?
He's not on campus yet. He's a summer enrollee.
Okay. Cool. Okay, so it's really just these three guys. I know.
Wait, okay. Can I interject real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
So with Cody Brown most likely coming, is there any chance that Thad Franklin doesn't come now? I know that there was, I'm not going to say it was substantiated Twitter mumblings, but there was some Twitter mumblings about that being a potential thing. Is that a thing, or is that unsubstantiated?
Steph, do you have any opinions on that?
There's definitely rumblings. And if we're going by his precedents, then there can be some saltiness on his side. But okay. I ultimately do think he comes because you're going to have some graduation this year. There's a good chance that, one of the two running backs that we have this year decides to go pro after next season, after a 2022 season. Because I'll say it right now, I think our guy Chaney is an NFL back 100% through and through.
Agreed.
Yeah.
He's a man-child. So I can see him leaving after his junior season.
Okay.
So there's gonna be room. There'll be space. And this cycle there aren't many running backs, so it's not like there will be that many guys on his back.
Yeah. And I just want to reiterate for the listeners that was unsubstantiated though, right, Steph? Like that's not a legit thing. That's just kind of that's whispers, right?
It's all tea leaves.
Okay.
Yeah. So don't quote us on that one.
Yeah. Thad's an interesting guy. Because he decommitted and then he recommitted, and then there was thoughts that he was going to flip to Florida State or something like that. But I don't know, man. I do think Cody Brown's an outstanding talent. I think Thad's a really good talent too. So I think it'll be a good competition. Running back it's an interesting position because I think a lot of people, especially towards the end of the season, saw that Don Chaney really became the featured back in Miami's offense, or at least the most consistent back. Cam Harris obviously was really productive through the first three games of last year, but kind of, I don't know if it was the defenses that just started to figure out Miami's offense, but it just wasn't the same Cam Harris that we saw early on in the season. Jordan, I'll start off